Hello everyone, welcome to Mastermind. In this video, let us discuss about the distribution of tax revenues. This will be a very important part of our General Studies paper 2 and in prelims for Indian Polity section. This will be very important part. If we are looking at Indian Polity, this is one of the high yielding topics because every year there is at least one question on the basis of tax revenues. Now, what kind of questions do they ask when it comes to tax revenues? The questions like levied, the tax which is levied by center but which is used or appropriated by states. Okay, so this is one type of question. The next one is the taxes which is levied also and collected also by center but it is utilized by states. What are the cases of surcharges? Who collects the surcharges? Then taxes which are levied and collected and used by the states. So on these different topics only they'll be asking you questions. So what might happen is one of the tax under this they might put it as an option under this and you might get confused. So I have made a few mnemonics with the help of which I remember them. So I'll share them also with you so that it will be easy for you, and if it is convenient for you, you can utilize that also. Now, before we go into that, we have to understand about two very important things. First one is the 80th Constitutional Amendment Act. 80th Constitutional Amendment. When did this happen? This happened in 2000. The next one very important amendment is 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. This was in 2017. So these two are considered to be very important whenever it comes to looking at distribution of tax revenues. Now, when we are looking at 80th Constitutional Amendment of 2000, what were the recommendations which were made, or why was 80th Constitutional Amendment come into place? So the provisions which were made under this was, this gave effect for the 10th Finance Commission's recommendation. 10th Finance Commission's recommendations, permissions were given by 80th Constitutional Amendment Act. The second one was, according to this 10th Finance Commission, there was 29% share which has to go to the states. 29%. Okay, that is the commission itself recommended that from certain central taxes and duties, 29% should go to states. One very important, that this is also known as alternative scheme of devolution. Very important. So this is the first thing. Second one is 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. Now I have written 2017 because it came into effect from 2017, but this was enacted in 2016 itself. So it is 101st Constitutional Amendment Act of 2016. Now this is related to GST, which is Goods and Services Tax. This is related to GST, which is Goods and Services Tax, which replaced indirect taxes. So the amendment actually subsumed various central indirect taxes. So it subsumed various central indirect taxes. For example, you have central excise duty. Then you have additional excise duty, central excise duty, additional excise duty. You have excise duty levied under medical and toilet preparations. Where most of the times these words have been asked in the examinations also. So that is excise duty levied under medical and toilet preparations, which is Excise Duties Act 1955. Then you have service tax. Then you have service tax. Later on you have additional custom duty, which is also known as countervailing duty, etc. Now the very important part for us, which is who levies it, who collects it, and who utilizes it. So these are only three things which you have to remember. Who is levying the tax? Next, who is collecting the tax? Next one is who is utilizing the tax, using the tax. You can also call it as appropriation. Who is utilizing the tax? Now let us start with them. Including the articles, everything will be important in this. So I'll erase all of these and we'll study that in this particular page only, including the shortcuts or mnemonics for us. So the first one is that taxes, everything is about the taxes only, correct? So the taxes which are levied by center, levied by center, the collection and use is by state. Very important. So the first category is the taxes are levied by center, but they are collected also by state and they are utilized also by state. This comes under Article 268. Very, very important. Article 268. So Article 268, Article 269, then Article 270, Article 271. These are some things which we are discussing. Okay, so this is Article 268, wherein the taxes are levied by the center, they are collected and utilized by the state. Now, in order to remember all of these, there has to be some shortcuts at least. So in order to remember the taxes which are levied by the center, collected and utilized by the state, there is a mnemonic which I use, which is called as best PC of Puducherry. Best PC of Puducherry, best police constable of Puducherry. Now, what are these? That is something which you have to know. Now, in case of best PC of Puducherry, B stands for bills of exchange. Bills of exchange. Okay, B stands for bills of exchange. Now, S stands for stamp duties. S stands for stamp duties. That is actually bills of stamp duties on bills of exchange. Now, in case of T, it stands for transfer of shares. Transfer of shares. So, bills of exchange, stamp duties on bills of exchange. Then you have transfer of shares. In case of P, you have promissory notes. Promissory notes. And another C, you have check. Checks. And another P, you have policies. Policies of insurance. Policies of insurance. So best PCP, that is stamp duties on bills of exchange, transfer of shares, promissory notes, check, and then policies of insurance. These are the taxes. These are the taxes which are levied by the center, whereas they are collected and utilized by the state. So I guess the first portion is clear, and this constitutes Article 268. Next one, the levy of taxes and collection of taxes. The levy and collection both are by center. Levy and collection both are by center, but they are assigned to states. Assigned to states. That is utilized by states. So they are assigned to states. Now, which is the article over here? The next article, which is Article 269. Article 269. Now, in this case, the shortcut itself is goods. Okay, goods SPC. Goods SPC. Now, what does this stand for? So, in this case, it is all related to goods because there are only two categories. First one is whatever are the taxes are on the sale or purchase of goods. Sale or purchase of goods. Okay, in the course of interstate trade or commerce. Okay, so that is for sale and purchase of goods. Second one, the tax on consignment of goods. Consignment of goods. Okay, so that is tax on consignment of goods. That is why I wrote it as PC. That is purchase, sale, purchase, consignment. Sale, purchase, consignment of goods. Here the very important point is that whenever it is talking about goods sale and purchase, it doesn't include newspapers. It doesn't include newspapers. This is very important because a lot of times they have mentioned in the options also goods which is newspaper. But you have to remember, when it comes to goods which is newspaper, it doesn't include in Article 269, which is levied and collected by center, assigned by the states. So I guess this portion is also clear. That is goods SPC. Goods SPC, which is article number 269. Next one. Next two are very important because there is slight difference in that. Next one is levy and collection. Levy and collection of GST itself. Levy and collection of GST itself. Now in this shortcut, there is only one word which we have to remember. So we will see about that a little later. But you have to remember that this levied also and these are collected also. Levied also and these are collected also by center. Levied and collected by the center. Now if it is collected by center, why should we read about the distribution of it? Correct? Now there is a catch over here. That is, even though they are levied and collected by the center, the distribution between center and state is provided by GST Council. GST Council. The distribution of this is provided by GST Council. Okay, so the manner also and especially it is provided by the Parliament itself on the recommendation of GST Council. But you have to remember GST Council. Why you have to remember GST Council? It is because if they are mentioning about Finance Commission, we might get confused. So here the shortcut itself is GST Council because it is levy and collection of GST. You have to remember the shortcut itself as GST Council. And which is this article? The article here is not 270, it is 269A. It is 269A. Okay, it is 269A. Next one, the taxes levied and collected by center. Taxes which are levied and collected by center. Levied and collected by center. But there is distribution. There is distribution between states and center. There is distribution, there is divide, correct? In this case, the phrase which you have to remember as shortcut is Finance Commission. Finance Commission. Very important, Finance Commission. Because even though they are levied by center, they are collected by center and they are distributed between center and the state. But the distribution type is set by Finance Commission. Now who sets up the Finance Commission? It is set up by President. President does this on the recommendation of Finance Commission. Now here the article to remember is 270. Article to remember is 270. So the duties and taxes referred to it in Article 268, 269, 269A, surcharges on the taxes and duties referred in Article 271, any cess levied for special purposes. All these are the categories under the union list under this category only. So those division happens on the basis of the recommendation of Finance Commission, on the recommendation of the basis of Finance Commission. Next one, very very important, because it is related to surcharge. It is related to surcharge. Now there are surcharges on certain taxes and duties. There are certain surcharges on taxes and duties. This constitutes Article 271. Very very important point is that this is levied also, this is levied also, and collected also. Everything is with center only in this. Everything goes to center only. So anything related to surcharge you can mark it as center. The reason is, one very important point which you have to remember is that there is no surcharge, which can be charged on GST. So there is no surcharge on GST. So goods and service tax is exempted from the surcharge. That is, surcharge cannot be imposed on GST. Very very important. Last are the taxes which are levied, collected and utilized by the states. Levied, collected and utilized by the states. Now these are mentioned in the state list only. These are mentioned in the state list only. So the taxes on land revenue, the taxes on agricultural income, the taxes on the agricultural land, and then the succession of agricultural land, the taxes on lands and buildings, taxes on mineral rights, taxes on excise on alcohol, then there is taxes on the consumption and sale of electricity, taxes on fuel, taxes on motor vehicles, etc., and then taxes on animals and boats, tolls, professions, taxes on professions, then there is capitation taxes, then there is taxes on entertainment, amusement, etc. Everything comes under this levied and collected and utilized by the states. Now you might be wondering, why did I not mention it over here? I did not mention it over here because these are too many to be remembered in the state list. But if you are looking at levied by the center and collected and utilized by the state, levied and collected by the center assigned to the states, levied and collected GST, levied and collected by the center distributed between center and states, these are very few to remember. These are very few to remember. And if anything apart from this comes, then that would be related to state list only. So it would be easier for us to remember in that case. So this was about distribution of tax revenues. This is one of the very very important topics, especially in polity, and a question will definitely pop out from this particular topic, especially in all the examination. So I hope you have understood about distribution of tax revenues. So I'll see you soon in the next one.